Well, it finally happened, but Chuck Hagel, as we learned this afternoon, will be the next defense secretary. Less than 2 weeks after his nomination was filibustered by Senate Republicans, those same Republicans did a U-turn and not only allowed a vote, but about an hour ago formally approved his nomination, now confirmation, though the vote still broke largely on party lines for Republicans voting with Democrats. Now, let's get to more real politics. And is the very popular governor of New Jersey too popular or too moderate for the GOP? And what's going on here?
Well, 3 bits of Chris Christie-related news came out today, Rich. The governor gave his budget address today. It relies on cash from D.C. to help the state recover from Hurricane Sandy and to spark the state's sluggish economy. Christie is also expanding Medicaid access in the state as part of the rollout of health care reform, after suggesting in the past that he would not. Neither is a particularly popular notion among a majority of Republicans, which may explain why the governor was not invited to speak at the CPAC annual conservative conference next month, though less potentially presidential names, including Sarah Palin, Mitt Romney, and Rick Perry, did get invites. But despite the governor's conservative bona fides, he's pro-life, he's attacked unions, slams public workers. Images like this one of the governor and President Obama touring the Jersey Shore after Sandy and the governor's willingness to fly in the face of Republican orthodoxy that may have kept him off the CPAC roster. It's popular enough to give him a 70+% approval rating in New Jersey and make him a contender in 2016, but also make him unpopular enough among conservative Republicans to keep him out of CPAC, Rich.
Do you think, if you were Christie's handlers, how would you respond to it? Do you ignore it, or do you say, I welcome your
I would celebrate it. I would say this is classic Chris Christie, crossing party lines, party position.
Do you say it out loud?
Doesn't mean absolutely. Absolutely.
You buy it?
I think the Democrats need to welcome Chris Christie. We have a Big Ten coming over to our side because he's got no future on the Republican side.
Me?
No future.
He's their best shot. They take one more butt kicking in the midterms. Why wouldn't they run to him?
He kicked the nominee when he was down. He wrapped his arms all over the Democratic president.
But they hated Romney anyway.
He cannot win nationally.
He might be their best candidate in a general election for president.
But he can't win the primaries.
I don't think he can get through the primaries.
Can't win.
Richard, here we go again. There's even a song, you know, because I mean, you know, Christie may be fantastic, but
let's be clear, he's got a 75% approval rating in a blue state, and he's a real Republican.
I understand that. But how does he get out of the primary? Doesn't this sound familiar? Here we go again, like Mitt Romney, you know, who might have been a decent candidate in the general election, but he danced so far to the right and put himself into a pretzel that he didn't even know what
you don't think he'd work over the rest of the field?
Christie's already been to the right, though. It's not. It was a creative thing for Romney.
Not with that hug with Obama.
But the hug is the hug, and I think that's so. I think it's so overblown, and I think CPAC. I think CPAC's almost doing him a favor because he walks out there on the CPAC stage. He's going to get enough booze and enough smatterings of vitriol that they don't need it. They're doing him a favor. He's taking the favor. We just reelected this guy.
I remember Paul Rove just offered an idea about trying to find electable candidates, and look at how the right's embraced him. All right, another major issue that as recently as last election day was a wedge between the parties, and Scott just brought this up. And it's even now getting some bipartisan support, Andrew, and we're talking about gay marriage. It's amazing the velocity of this issue, how it's changed.
Well, the swing in terms of public opinion on this issue shifting wildly in recent years, with the Supreme Court now set to hear a pair of cases on the subject. More than 80 notable conservatives and Republicans have put their name to a letter to the court asking for same-sex marriages to be allowed and approved. The list includes Dick Cheney's daughter Mary, a couple of former presidential candidates, some sitting lawmakers, members of both Bush administrations and that of Ronald Reagan's, some Republican talkers from cable news, and many more. The High Court will hear arguments March 26th and 27th, Rich.
It is interesting how this is okay for Republicans to break party ideology and party platform, as we saw in Tampa, but it's not okay to try and meet somewhere, forget about the middle, on fiscal issues.
The Republicans have a problem. I mean, they have a party with no real identity, and they're all over the map, and they're fractured because you have some moderate Republicans out there who are thinking ahead and trying to expand their base, and then you have bomb throwers out there who are willing to burn it down. And that's just a problem for them growing.
Until a few months ago, President Obama was on the record with those Republicans who are pig-headed and unevolved. Until just a few months ago, President Obama was right there with them.
I wouldn't have suggested pig-headed and unevolved, but I guess I'll have to agree with you.
That's where the president was.
No, keep it serious. Keep it serious. No, is that not where the president you're right, though, but here's my thing. and let's pick the next one, which
Sure.
is immigration.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm pro-gay marriage.
And I think, and you have been consistently. But my point, TJ, is if I follow the playbook,
right.
Republicans are always one step behind and get no credit. Okay?
Yes.
That you're going to see what's going to happen with immigration reform. In the
Right.
end, the president's going to force something through. He's going to make it be almost a poison pill vote, or if Republicans, and it's going to be his bill, and it's going to be the Democrats' bill, and if Republicans vote against it, they're going to be the ones, you know, telling Latinos, we don't have room for you at our table. So when do Republicans, they're doing the hard part, which is to change their ideology,
Right.
but why can't they do the politically smart thing and get ahead of something instead of behind?
I think because there is always something just a little off about what the president would propose. For example, why is there an absolute brick wall, no pun intended, against the idea of closing the border while and securing the border airtight, rock solid, while approaching the notion
you
of...
both know, we all know where this is going to go. We
amnesty.
know that this thing's going to get passed in the next years because it's,
Right.
again, just like you said, there's too much to be gained for
when you
both
put-
parties. But you're missing.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
Right.
they're fighting the wrong fight. They need to get ahead of stuff. And for me, it's amazing because the Republican Party that I knew was the Reagan Republican could have taken social policies. You could have been pro-choice and been a Republican then, but on fiscal issues, you had to pretty much be in lockstep. Now, social issues, go ahead, wherever the heck you want to be on the map. And on the fiscal issues, you better not cross it because we'll primary you. It's kind of reversed. You get the sense, I think Scott's right, they got to figure out who they want to be when they grow
But look where
up.
this discussion is going, by the way. The president evolves, and we get choruses of hallelujah. We have Republicans beginning the process of evolving on gay marriage, and what we're doing is we're slamming them for other issues instead of giving them even an ounce of credit
let's
for coming
congratulate
around.
them.
What? Listen, I'm already well
You're
ahead
going
of
to like
them.
this next. We're going to talk about your favorite councilman here. We're going to talk about, I'm sorry, lawmaker, Dov Hikind. All right?
Oh.
Now, there are some
South
things
Side Dov Hikind.
that doesn't matter whatever political consultant I have at the table that would tell their client not to do. For example, don't compare your critics to Hitler or let's just say Nazis. Not a good thing. Don't tweet pictures of yourself, any pictures to anyone, and don't talk too much if you're near what would be an open microphone. But today, there is now a new don't here that we never thought we'd have to say, but Andrew, we have to add it to the list.
Yeah, Rich, what happened is, all right, just show the picture. That is Brooklyn Assemblyman Dov Hikind, a Democrat in blackface. This was Hikind's costume for Purim, a Jewish festival that encourages people to wear costumes, but not that one.
And by the way, that's him in the other picture, right?
Yes,
so
that's
just so
him
we
in
know the
both
before and
pictures.
after.
Hikind's son snapped the shot, put it on Facebook of his father dressed as a black basketball player. He says he never thought it would be offensive, but he apologized if it was. So add to the list, Rich, never appear in blackface.
Dominic, the floor is yours.
It's
You know
mine.
him, by the way.
It's
You know
Say
Dov.
oy vey.
I know
Say
Dov. I
oy
know
vey.
oy vey.
There you
I
go.
know Dov Hikind. Dov Hikind, come on, man. Come on, man.
No, but
White
the best-
politician.
but the best
Rule
was-
of thumb.
Yeah.
Rule of thumb.
Yeah.
White politicians, stay away from black makeup. You can't win. I don't know what's supposed to be so funny.
But the worst part about it,
seriously
did you hear what he
about
said?
an
Yes,
African
but did you hear
American
what he said,
basketball
though? Did
player.
you, Don, did
A
you-
basketball player that
Did
makes
you hear
probably.
this guy's explanation?
What-
Go
what-
ahead, Rich.
what?
He goes.
That there's
tried
an
to actually-
explanation?
He didn't come out and be like, oh my God, it's the worst moment of my life. I had a seizure. I didn't know what I was doing. He said, I don't know why everyone's upset. This is I'm
It's
sorry, I don't want
Purim.
to. Purim.
It's
Purim. And he says, in our holiday, we have to basically cover our faces. So instead of a mask traditionally, he tried to sell the idea that putting blackface and a fro on how could it be offensive?
He even went so far as to say, like, if you were a black guy, you would maybe say, I'm going to go as a white guy. I mean, he said this.
Have you ever seen an African American male look like what Dov Hikind did? I mean,
like a
have you
real
ever seen
live
it?
one? No.
Have you
You're
ever seen
giving
a
this
brother?
too much-
Have you ever seen a brother with a fro like
But
that?
you're giving this too much credit, Dominic. I'm just saying, pound for pound, have you ever seen a more idiotic move? And this guy, by the way, is in Brooklyn. It's not like he's out in
Right,
like
right.
North Dakota.
He lives
or
right
whatever.
next to a lot of African Americans.
This is
I mean,
just,
but rule of thumb, people like him make a lot of money for advice. Seriously, rule of thumb, some free advice here. White politician, stay away.
White
from
anybody.
The,
Show the
stay
photo
away
one
from
more
the black
time.
makeup.
White
Stay
anybody.
away from it. It doesn't work.
If my 4-year-old
it's
did
not
it,
funny.
she'd be out of a
It doesn't
career.
work.
Yeah.
It
Can we
doesn't
show the
work.
photo one more time?
Oh, please. Oh, would you please?
Scott,
come
can
on.
I say pretty easily, you would not counsel someone to do this, right?
I definitively would counsel someone not to do that.
Andrew, final word.
Happy Purim, everyone.
L'chaim. All right, we take a quick break. But we ask you at home to sound off, not on the photo, but about the issue that we talked about a few minutes ago, and to one of our own here in our region, the very popular Governor Chris Christie. The CPAC snub, is it because he's not conservative enough for the GOP? Why would they lock him out? There's a lot of different theories as to why. When we come back, we will switch gears, though, and we will head to Rome, where controversy overshadowing the Pope's final days. We'll bring in an expert who will explain what lies ahead. Stay with us.